And blessed to be with you, Kevin Miller in the morning at Independence Indoor Shooting in Meridian, Idaho. We're here till 9. I want to thank everybody who has stopped by. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. We'll take your calls on a couple of big issues, some local stories that I find really fascinating here. This issue about adding the words denouncing. Boy, that's a tough verb to use. Denouncing the crime-fighting Attorney General Lawrence Wasden for signing on to a friend of the court briefing in 3 pending U.S. Supreme Court cases opposing protections for employees in 3 states who were fired allegedly due to their sexual orientation or gender identity. Misty Tolman, the state director for Planned Parenthood and a member of the coalition, says, quote, "This is cruel, unnecessary. This is a cruel, unnecessary move that does nothing to strengthen our state's economy and certainly does nothing to grow our workforce." And she continues talking about her, quote, and we'll just quote her here, well, that might be good enough for the Idaho Press to publish, but we're not going to share that quote because we're a family-friendly show. But again, it just shows you, it's funny when they talk about supporting the papers and such, and really, do the papers reflect our values? We do our very best to reflect your values. We don't personally attack anybody. We don't make things up. We don't try and harm folks, but we do defend America. And I'm trying to think of, anyone who says, look, I'm a Republican. I'm a conservative. I support the Second Amendment, the First Amendment. And when people attack Lawrence Wasden for doing his job, Russ Fulcher for doing his job, these are troubling issues. And what we're seeing now, not only are we seeing the liberalization of the press, but we're also seeing that at the local level. So when we think of the press, I'd love to hear from you at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Then we have this disturbing story out of Canyon County where we have an allegation that a county deputy gave out used razors. Apparently Seth Freeman and several other Canyon County jail inmates were lining up for a shave. Apparently he noticed that his razor was dull. And by the way, if you hear that in the background, that is the sound of freedom. That is the sound of people firing off their weapons here at Independence Indoor Shooting. So here we have it. He heard people yelling from the rest of the inmates who they'd taken the razor's covers off and found skin and hair on them. Now they're saying that they were given used razors, and apparently they tested positive for hepatitis C following this claim. Now Freeman is currently on probation, and now he's got hepatitis C. Let's see. He had been tested for hepatitis C shortly before going to jail. That test was negative. Going into jail, then he got the hepatitis C. We don't know what happened with the razors, but this is an allegation. The tort claim says Deputy Trayton Myers provided inmates with used razors after grabbing them from the biohazard box. The claim says video and several surveillance videos believed to show admission of guilt from jail employees. Well, if this is true, this is a troubling incident. And as we were discussing, I believe it was yesterday, right, about the jail situation, the current jail situation. And that's right. How many of you watch MSNBC? Anybody watch NBC? Well, tonight on Dateline, Lester Holt is going into Angola. Anybody know what Angola is? Angola is one of the most notorious prisons that has ever been made. It's in Louisiana. You do time in Angola, you are a survivor, you are a tough guy. You can go anywhere and live. So Lester Holt's going into Angola, and Lester Holt is going to spend 2 nights in jail. Now, with all due respect, having broadcast from a few jails, not prisons, jails, you really are taking your life into your own hands, number one. And number two, we can't guarantee the safety of inmates in our facilities. That's no disrespect to I can't even say it now, correctional officers. That's no disrespect to them. But we've had the fight clubs. We've had allegations of our prisoners being harassed and attacked in Texas. We can't protect the people that we have now. Then you have Lester going in, being all brave and such, but you know he got special protection. It's one of the reasons why, look, we'll go anywhere. As you heard today, I was out in the parking lot on the phone. We'll go anywhere. We will seek the truth. But when you put other people in jeopardy to try and promote yourself, that's where we draw the line. Because the jails, the prisons are very dangerous for those in there, for those visiting, for those people that run the jails. And for Mr. Holt to do it, to try and promote his sagging ratings is one thing. For us to do it is another. But here you have the situation in Canyon County, an allegation of used razors. I hope that it's not true. I hope that it is not an issue that will come back to bite the county, because you have a lot of challenges with that jail. You have a lot of challenges with those inmates breaking out. That is one story that we're covering. Another one in the city of Boise. Boy, it's interesting. Law enforcement in the news, and today it's not a good thing. By the way, that's the sound of freedom. You want to come by and shoot, stop by and join us. We're right behind Gem Prep here in Meridian. But that's law enforcement, when they do something good, when's the last time the press ever, did a good story about the police? This from the other liberal publication in print. A Boise police corporal has sued the city and Police Chief Bones, saying he was, quote, treated differently and harassed for reporting a superior officer he believed was behaving unethically by selling weapons from the superior's police department office. Corporal Norman Denny Carter said in the lawsuits that two lieutenants, who was his direct supervisor, started in the summer of 2015, retaliated against him after Carter told superiors in 2015, 2016, and 2017 that Greg Oster, his direct supervisor, was selling guns while on duty inside City Hall West. Well, let's hope that that's not true. Now we have Mike Journey, the spokesperson for Dave Beater, Mayor Dave Beater said such issues came up to an investigation why Oster retired and whether he was on leave, and when he retired, was it personal matters that neither he nor the department would comment on. Journey declined to discuss the lawsuits, saying the city does not comment on pending litigation. But when you think about this at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, these lawsuits coming up, what does that do when we're talking about the confidence of men and women in law enforcement? To me, I love them, I'll protect them, and I will continue to champion them. But if this allegation is true, let's face it, most challenges in life can be avoided if you practice a couple things: empathy and common sense. And, of course, the golden rule, which I believe would be under empathy. But common sense. Common sense is that if, again, you're selling firearms, you don't allegedly do it on duty, and you don't allegedly do it at City Hall West, right? Exactly. Are you talking to me, Art? Because I think your mic is on.
I'm trying to be quiet.
Yeah. All right. We'll turn your mic off, and then we'll be good. We'll hear from Art in a minute. Art was our roving reporter last night at the big meeting involving the noise ordinances and the F-35s, and that's what we'll do next. But we'd love to hear from you on these two issues when we're talking about safety, security, and the jails. How secure do we feel? How entrusting are we? And, of course, now we have people. You had heard Doug in for Maggie talking about Sherry Abar that we told you 3 days ago about. She wants, $40 million, $100 million for teachers, number one. We need money for jails, number two. We need money for schools, number three. We need money for roads, number four. Maybe we should start just having these talking points. Welcome to Idaho. Be prepared to pay more for schools, more for jails, more for roads, and that would keep people out. Maybe that's what we need to do. We start highlighting the negative. Mrs. Miller says, I need to be more positive, Pete. We'll see about that. And finally, coming to a town near you, one town in California. It's always in California, isn't it, folks? We love talking about California here on KIDO Talk Radio. The idea of a universal basic income, or what the hipsters on the North End are calling UBI, is gaining steam across the country. Now the town of Stockton, California, is putting this into practice. Well, you know what it is? They pay you to live. Can you imagine that? Not having to earn a living, not having to earn anything. You just pay to just hang out. Earlier this year, the city launched a program that paid 125 residents a stipend of $500 a month. You can spend it however you want. You want to go get the marijuana? You want to go buy some cornflakes? You can do with your $500 a month whatever. One recipient says she used the money to pay off her cell phone and veterinarian bills and spends the rest on her grandsons. Well, I bet that her grandsons like that. By the way, the stipend comes from taxpayers. Another says the money allowed him to stop working weekends and spend more time with his wife and daughters. Isn't that great? Except if you're the one paying these people to do absolutely nothing, right? Stockton Mayor Michael Tubbs said the UBI, Universal Basic Income, is paid for entirely by private donors, including Facebook co-founder Chris Hughes. Presidential candidate Andrew Yang is pushing a nationwide UBI program that would pay every American over the age of 18 $1,000 a month. Now, what does that sound like to you? Does that sound like a good deal for you? 580-5436. 580-KIDO. I mean, let's face it, money for nothing. Money for nothing. And this is going on in Stockton, California. Could that happen here? We'll see about it. We are broadcasting live from Independence Indoor Shooting, beautiful Meridian, Idaho, promoting the Second Amendment. We're here till 9. Stop by and shoot for free till 9, like so many of you have had done today. Coming up next, we'll have a report on the noise ordinance and why are people afraid of supporting our military in the Treasure Valley. We'll have that answer for you in your calls next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. And blessed to be with you at Independence Indoor Shooting. We've got a couple folks from Star. Art from Star is here. I don't know if Terry's going to talk. He says he's afraid he doesn't want to get in trouble for Terry from Star, Foreman County. So, Art, are you running for mayor?
That I don't know for sure, but, it's a function of politics. So.
Why don't we have you speak directly into the microphone there?
Directly into the microphone.
Right.
There we go. It's a wonderful day here.
Right. That's great. That's what we call tune-out. So let's stick to the questions here.
All right.
You're running for the mayor of Star?
No.
You're not. You're just joking.
Yes. I'm not yet ready to run for mayor.
Right.
I'm working on the Fukushima radiation problem right now, and I think I got it solved.
Well, who needs the new mayor of Star if you're working on the Fukushima problem?
Nobody.
I'm a Chernobyl man myself.
Oh, okay.
So you were at this hearing last night, right?
Yeah, it was a pretty interesting thing. I heard about it because it was announced on KIDO radio on 580 AM. So I had to program the GPS to find the thing, go down to Boise, Idaho, and they had Air Force officers for different tactical fighter wings there. And there was a master sergeant and a captain and a couple of colonels and lieutenant colonels. We even had a general there. I got to talk to the general quite a bit. And there's a handout that they give you, and it was a presentation on environmental impact statements. And I hope the talk lasts. And I got pretty close to it. And I told them, hey, I'm 100% for these fighters going in there. My only disappointment was that we have to give up the warthogs to get them.
Now, wait a minute.
What?
You're saying that they told you last night that you'd have to give up the warthogs to get the F-35s. Of course, they tried to do that before. They tried to do the bait and switch before. So that's not new, but I haven't heard it in the hearing. So this is what, from the government?
Yeah, it's right there. They had posters set up and all that kind of stuff. And, they should keep the warthogs. I'd like to see another 400 of them things built and put the 35s in there because this is the best place in the United States for pilot training. And I know this with a detail. They had 5 other choices. One of them was Jacksonville. I'm not knocking Jackson NAS. They used to take care of your computers down there, by the way. But they're in Hurricane Alley. The last time we had a hurricane whip through there, it tore up a bunch of planes. These planes are way too expensive to be based there. Plus the fact that the western states need some of these advanced technology fighters. Why does the East Coast get all the fighters? We should get something. So seriously, I'd like to see maybe 60 or 70 fighter jets here and keep the A-10s, even if we have to expand the runway. But what really happened was a bunch of people got up and they talked about noise abatement. I can't hear my ears and all that. And I consider everybody in there except for one individual the most selfish people I've ever met in my entire life, because they were not looking out for the United States of America as a whole, and we face some very serious and very dangerous threats in the near future. So I want those fighters here, but we'll have to see which way it goes. The Secretary of Defense, I understand he wants to put two of the choices are on the East Coast. Okay, so Secretary of Defense, look, the West Coast is important too. You got enough fighters over there. Send them over here. And so I was all for it, and of course I got booed and all that kind of stuff.
So wait a minute. So you said you're in favor of the F-35As.
Yes, absolutely.
And you're defending Idaho.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, were they libs?
Yeah, I guess so. They had buns and all this other kind of crap, long hairs, and the way they talked, it just made my skin crawl.
So you're at this meeting, and
the only thing that was
you
strange,
didn't boo them.
No,
they booed you.
Well, yeah. But freedom of speech and all that. Talked to a couple of Boise Police Department people there. There are a couple there to keep law and order. And, I had a chance to really talk to some very nice people in the United States Air Force. And I told the general at the end, when it was all broke up and done, I says, General, we just have to forgive these people. They really do not know the nature of the threat that this country is under.
Here's the challenge. At 580-5436, 580-KIDO, I believe, and I don't know anything, but I believe that the Air Force wants to put these fighters here.
I hope so. Yes, they do.
I believe that they do.
Because it's the best training place. I mean, they can go down to the bombing range in Nevada, just a hop, skip, and a jump down the road.
We've got our own training base between here and Mountain Home, but
right.
The fact that they want to put those fighters here with a reserve unit speaks highly of the command, speaks highly of the Treasure Valley, particularly when you have a great Air Force base down the road in Mountain Home, right?
Yeah.
But what they don't want to do is they don't want to seem heavy-handed, and they don't want to have a lack of buy-in. So that's why we didn't get them the first time. The fact that they're back again, this is a preferred destination. But if the tree huggers and the libs are all angry and they don't love the military, then
they don't even love the United States of America.
I don't know about that.
As far as I'm concerned, they're all communists.
Well, you better talk to Bernie about that.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Okay, first of all, traffic and weather together, KIDO Talk Radio. Our time is 8:25 from Independence Indoor Shooting. Let's get you to work safely and on time. Good morning, Dave. All right, let's go to Tea Party Bob joining us from Arizona on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. The reason the East Coast gets so many more of these bases and
hello, Tea Party Bob. Go ahead. You're on the air, please.
Can you hear me now, Kevin?
I can hear you now. Go ahead, please.
All right. The reason they have all these bases going to the East Coast is because you've got more of the representatives from the East Coast than you do from the West Coast. So you're going to continue to see that happen. But as far as the people complaining about noise abatement, with all these people going for hearing aids, why don't they just turn off their hearing aids and stop worrying about the damn noise that's going on? There's nothing better in this world if you're in some kind of a conflict than to hear an F-35 flying over your head. So I don't know what all this rigmarole is about. And by the way, I have to tell you, as I go through this country, I find more and more people that are basically happy with the way things are going on. And the libs, they seem to be that compact group that the media seems to get on all the time. They give them all the airtime. They give them all the paper time, all the news that's fit to print, or so they say, goes to the libs. But nothing goes to the people who are actually working hard and doing a job here in this country. I'll tell you, America's a great place. More people should do a little bit more traveling around it. I'm certainly enjoying what I'm doing, and I'm enjoying the people that I'm meeting. As far as our good friend Betsy Russell is concerned, she should go back to writing poems or poetry or prose or something, because she can't write words like garbage dump in her newspaper. And the fact that the press hired her, I don't understand that still, but I guess they didn't have anybody else available. I miss you, buddy. I hope you're having a good time down there at Independence Shooting, and look forward to getting back to you very shortly, maybe this next week, and spend some time talking again.
It would be great to see you, old friend. Safe travels.
You have a good one, my friend.
All right, thank you. Let's go to Mark in Eagle with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Hello, Mark.
Actually, it's Mark in Boise, but thanks
I'm
for
sorry, Mark.
my call.
I'm sorry, my hearing went out a little bad. It must be all the shooting going on here. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, so I was at the F-35 hearing last night, and it wasn't political whatsoever. I have to be a lifelong Republican, and with maybe one exception, so there was, I think, one speaker that was against war machines, as they called it. It was good, hardworking people that were worried about being forced out of their homes. The Air Force's own report, it wasn't opinion, it was the environmental impact statement from the Air Force itself, said that the F-35s would make over 400 homes as they deem unlivable. So that's not opinion, that's fact. And people.
Well, let me jump in here. Hold on, Mark. So apparently, Art, you're not telling the truth here. We're talking about 400 homes that are going to be unlivable. Why didn't you tell us the truth? We got Mark here giving us the other side of the story.
I didn't get a chance to.
What do you mean? You had 20 minutes.
Well, I was concerned about.
What about the people that are losing their homes?
Can't they get relocated?
Mark, what do you think about that?
I couldn't hear his response, but I could guess what it was.
He said, "Why don't they get relocated? It's not like we have a housing shortage. We do have a housing shortage."
But they can
well, who's going to pay? The whole point of the conversation last night was who is going to pay to relocate these people?
Art, shh, please. We'll get back to you in a second. Mark's on the phone. I can't. I know, but I can hear him and everybody else can. And when you're over talking, I hope somebody's getting some enjoyment out of this. Let's continue on. I'm sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
The question is, who is going to pay to buy up all of these homes, these churches, these schools that will be impacted per the Air Force's report by the F-35s? No one has answered that. The Air Force says it's not their responsibility to pay for it.
So what do you think should be done?
Well, I think they should not come to Boise. The airport is simply too close geographically to residential areas, to churches, to schools. This is not a good place for this type of plane, especially since we have an Air Force base using the same training space 30 miles to the east.
Mark, I appreciate you giving us the other side of the story. Shame on you, Art. Shame, shame, shame. Thank you, Mark. All right, now back to Art. So you're going to have 400 people lose their homes.
I didn't know about that. But
what do you mean? You were at the meeting.
Yes, but I was.
You're supposed to be our reporter.
Well, I'm sorry.
Then again, I'm not going to argue with you. You're armed.
No. Hey, I would be happy if they could build an air base in Star, Idaho.
Well, look, they're building enough in Star. All right, much more coming up from Independence Indoor Shooting. We're having a good time. Won't you join us? Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Doug. And don't forget Glenn Beck coming up, KIDO Talk Radio and the KIDO Talk Radio app. So before we get rolling here, Art, you wanted to respond to Mark in Boise, and you said you don't care that 400 – I'm not even going to lead the witness. Why don't you respond? 400 people could lose their homes. What say you?
Well, first off, they don't lose their homes. Second off, there's something in your Constitution called the right of eminent domain, which should be activated for the purposes of...
Now speak a little louder.
The right of eminent domain in your Constitution should be activated for the purposes of national security reasons. They can be relocated. They can get a brand new house or whatever it takes, because what happens on eminent domain, they are paid just compensation. That means that they're not cheated or anything like that.
So we're going to buy 400 people new homes.
Why not? They did it for Love Canal.
I don't have any money. There's no Love Canal here there, buddy.
Well, that may be true, but I'm just saying that we need these planes here. We need them here.
So you're willing to give them the boot?
Yeah, I'll help them.
You'll help them pack?
Yeah, you betcha.
That's what we love, compassionate conservatives.
Absolutely. All
right, Art, we'll get back to you in a minute. 580-5436. 580-KIDO. Kevin Miller in the morning here. Coming up, one city has declared the NRA a terrorist organization. We're at Independence Indoor Shooting in Meridian, Idaho. having a good time here. People coming by to shoot. One gentleman said, I have to tell my secretary where I'm going to be, Kevin Miller. So we thank him for that. Now we've got a young man that has just moved to Idaho. His name is Greg. Greg, that means we're ready to talk to you on the radio. You moved to Idaho, and welcome.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate that.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Why move to Idaho?
Idaho represents old family values, represents community, opportunity, growth, community, companionship.
Sure, that's a lot. You could just see that between Art and Terry here this morning.
A lifestyle that a lot of us...
It's a lifestyle, I'll tell you that. I don't know why people are laughing, but we can continue on here at 580-5436. So what's it been like for you moving to Idaho? Many people moving to Idaho. Have you found a lot of people that have been here a long time or new people like yourself?
Probably half and half.
Yeah?
A lot of people who've been here a long time who've been very welcoming.
They have been?
Absolutely.
We need to talk to them about that.
Have been. They've been great.
What about the new people?
New people trying to get adjusted,
Yeah?
finding connections, getting settled into the community.
Sure. Now, what's your background in?
Real estate and law enforcement.
All right. So real estate, what do you make of this market? How long have you been doing real estate?
25 years.
25 years. What do you make of the market here compared to other places you've been across the country?
Growing rapidly.
Yeah.
Expansion. Prices going up.
Right. But, I mean, is this the biggest, best market ever? We could argue that might have happened in 07, 08 before the crash. Or is this just another boom, do you think? Is this special, this type of boom? Remember, as we like to say, a few years ago, the median home price in Canyon County was cut in half from $140,000 to $70,000. The median home now in Ada County, I think, is $330,000, $350,000, something like that. That was cut to about $150,000 or $140,000, and now you have these homes blowing up, people building and such. So is it just another boom, or is this a significant growth spurt? Your thoughts. I hate to put you on the spot here, but, you know, that's kind of what we do. You show up, you either shoot or you talk.
I think it's a growth spurt. Mm-hmm. I think, unfortunately, folks living here in Idaho with the Idaho income, and then folks coming from out of town with substantial, you want to say, financial opportunities to take advantage of the market.
Right.
Has caused some challenges, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
In the marketplace here.
Right now on Eagle Road, that's a challenge.
Well, we see it everywhere, with whether it's Caldwell or Napa.
Sure.
Or Meridian.
Right.
Where your standard home's gone up $100,000.
Right.
In the last 5 years, and the incomes have not.
Right.
So there's some inequity.
Any advice to people, since you're a real estate guy? You know, I mean, you know, I know you're giving this deep thought. We're not really a deep thought show. It's more like, hey, we'll have a number 5 with a black coffee, please. It's either we hear from you or we go back to Art, who's going to tell us about the grand jury.
You've got great opportunities to purchase homes today.
Yes.
The market is shifting.
Right.
You're coming into the fall.
Right.
So we have some inventory we haven't had for a while.
Right.
You still have the buyers out there, but your traditional seasonal buyers are going to be leaving town. So we've had an increase in listings today,
Sure.
right now. So you do have some opportunities. Prices are coming down.
Right.
So if you're looking to buy a home, now is a very good time.
Don't they say that all the time for real estate people?
Well, that's what they do. It's their job function.
Ooh, see, you're telling the truth this time, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you know.
Well, Greg.
It's rubbing off on me.
Yeah, welcome to Idaho.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Looking forward to the opportunities.
Yes, we're looking forward to helping and being of service. Do you have anything else, Art? Since
Yes,
you're going to
I
kick
do.
400 people out of their homes?
No. I have sympathy. I have empathy, but
You didn't. You called them unpatriotic.
Well, they are, but they can.
They
fix
want to
that.
stay in their homes.
It's a repairable function of the brain when they understand the issue. Okay, I look at the whole thing. I've traveled. I'm a pretty old fella. I've lived in many states.
I don't
many
think
towns,
you're.
many
I don't
cities.
think you're that old. What are you? 49?
No, I'm pretty old.
All right. Well,
I'm
no.
probably older than Abraham Lincoln.
Well, and that's reassuring. However, old is just a number these days.
I know, but I have a lot of information in my head. That's what happens. I collect information. Okay.
Sure.
But in regards to the Air Force decision, I really do hope that they will send it here. There's so many things which are involved in this. But I really wanted to talk about, and I can't do it right now because we're coming to the end of the show. I really wanted to talk about the reasoning behind the word sequence for the Second Amendment, the phrase "shall not be infringed." And the reason why that's so is because there's a politician I heard on the radio. I can't remember her name, but she was trying to tear that whole thing up. And so the only thing I can say to you folks is if you go type in your Google search engine, the Federalist Papers, just do that. And then look at paper number 29. There's a whole bunch of them there. And then go to the second page, and you'll find a whole section called "The Project of Disciplining All the Militia." If you can find that phrase, just read that one section, and now you'll truly understand why the right to bear arms shall not be infringed under any conditions for any reason. No red flags, no personal carry, open carry. You pack a piece to protect yourself. I understand that people say, well, you're taking your life in your own hands. Well, guess what? That's what this is about. You put your life in your hands. Because if something happens, I'm sorry, I love the cops, but they can't get there in time. Okay? The action's all done in 15 or 20 seconds. But if you got a sidearm, you can stop it. I was badgered once time I asked this lady in a gas station down Lake Havasu. I asked her, I says, can you tell me where this gun store is? Because they had 20% off on the ammunition. And she just got down on me so bad. She was a lady and, you nasty gun owner and all that kind of stuff. I said, well, I also believe in the Bible. And so I said, I'll tell you what.
Right.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
The next time that there's a terrorist attack in the mall, I promise I will not use my gun to protect you.
All
you
right.
go get your own.
Art, we appreciate that. Thank you for always coming out.
You betcha.
All right. More coming up next at Independence Indoor Shooting. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. And we are here at Independence Indoor Shooting. Ryan joins us now. Ryan, good to have you with us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You know what I love about you guys is, and we're going to let everybody know about Independence, but you have such a great partnership with local law enforcement, and you folks here at Independence Indoor Shooting seek to solve problems. And you have classes, you have seminars, you have a partnership with the Meridian Police that drew a ton of people about what to do when an active shooter's around. Tell us a little bit about your partnership with law enforcement, sir.
We really love doing everything we can to support our local law enforcement. It's been a real privilege working with the different departments here in the Treasure Valley. We do a ton with Meridian PD right now. We had ICE in here, our local ICE department in here training this morning. We've had at least 8 or 9 different departments training here over the last 2 years, and it's been a real pleasure to have a place for them to come and to shoot and to learn how to do what they need to do to help keep our community safe.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Ryan. Give us a little insight of what these folks are like, because all we ever hear about is, the bad news. We do hear some good news. We want to highlight that, but what's it like? They can come in, shoot, train, and you get to know these guys and gals.
They're just like us. They're just members in our community that actually, they take time to learn how to protect us and to help keep us safe. But they're just like your next door neighbor, and they're just nice people. They've actually come in and helped us with lots of events without asking for any kind of reward or compensation. They've done a lot of community events here. We just had that active shooter training course. Had one of the officers come in here on his own time and taught that course to. We had over almost 150 people here that attended that course, and it was wonderful.
What do you make of the issue involving the Second Amendment? Obviously, this is a Second Amendment business. It's in the news quite a bit, and I know a lot of people are concerned about their freedom to be able to protect themselves.
We're always concerned about that. We on top of juggling everything else that we have to juggle as a business, we always have to be concerned about our rights to be able to do what we do here and to provide our service to the community. Whether we can provide this product or that product or what the government or legislation says is legal to use to enjoy this right that we have. So we try to do our best to support those causes and to support our rights. So,
well, another thing, you're supporting the Girls with Guns.
Yes,
a lot of votes coming in for that. A lot of wonderful prizes, and it's outstanding that Independence can sponsor this and that we have some really great prizes. Whether it's a rifle, whether it's a gun safe, whether it's a membership here.
Yeah, it's a fun event for us. We love to do what we can to support women in the shooting sports and just make it a fun thing.
fun, let's talk about life here at Independence for people that aren't familiar with it. I've talked about it. We hear other folks talking about it. We see you guys a big, strong presence on social media. When you go on your website, iishooting.com, all of a sudden you're seeing this long range and everything else. We urge people to go, but for people listening right now, what would you say?
I hear people come in and say this all the time. They say it's kind of like an adult playground. There's just so many things to see when you walk in the door. We got firearms everywhere, accessories for shooting sports. It's a beautiful location. We've got one of the only indoor 100-yard shooting ranges in the Northwest. We have a lot of hunters coming in right now, getting ready for the hunting season. It's just a really fun environment, a great place to come if you've never shot a gun before and want to learn a little bit about it. We have a class called the First Shots class, where you come in and take your very first shots with a firearm, and that's sponsored by the National Sports Shooting Foundation. It's just a really fun, safe environment to learn and participate in shooting sports. It's fun.
Anything else you'd like to share with us, sir?
We just invite anybody that wants to come and do something fun to come try us out and come see the range.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, appreciate it.
iishooting.com, 576 Guns. 576 Guns, Independence Indoor Shooting. Traffic and weather together, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Dave. And let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Tom. Tom, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. Hey, just a shout out to Independence. I was there last weekend training a student. I am a NRA instructor and actually a training counselor, so I instruct instructors. And I've been a lifetime member for a long time, and with this whole thing in San Francisco, I think I'm on their number one most wanted list, or at least in the top 10.
Right.
Because I create other instructors, and so don't know where that puts me. So I'm wondering if I travel through San Francisco and they pull me over, if I'm supposed to get arrested because I'm now part of a domestic terror group. In fact, a leader, I guess.
It's crazy that you have the folks in San Francisco, the Board of Supervisors, passing that resolution declaring the NRA a domestic terrorist organization.
Yeah, with how many people the NRA, people forget, the NRA trained people for World War II. They were affiliated with the Boy Scouts. They've done so much in firearms safety training for children, for females to be able to take care of themselves and refuse to be a victim classes. They have so many safety classes, even safety classes on how to reload and concealed carry, how to defend your home. And I always say, get involved. If you like your Second Amendment rights, it's not good enough just to live in Idaho and to go buy guns and use them safely. I think you need to get involved. Support an organization that goes and supports the legislation in the states that prevents the government from taking away your firearms. People think, it's not going to happen, but, if you like it or not, they took away the bump stock and they didn't compensate anybody for that. They would just tell them, take your $300 device and chop it up. And if you don't, you're a felon. So if people think this can't happen, if they can't confiscate or they can't tell you a certain kind of capacity magazine or this or that is no longer federally allowed, well, then it's already happened. So shall not be infringed has been infringed. They're already breaking, they're breaking the law. They're not following the Constitution. So get involved, talk to your representatives, go support a group that supports the legislation. And, of course, I'm a big fan of the NRA, or else I wouldn't be an instructor and so forth. But, Kevin, you're doing a great job down there, and the people at Independence have just a top-notch. I've been there many times, and they're doing great. They're going to have a lot more ammo.
I guess we lost Tom. Probably the folks in San Francisco got him. KIDO, thank you, Tom. God bless you. KIDO Talk Radio, traffic and weather together. Kevin Miller in the morning. Thank you, Ray. We covered that. Just wanted to let everybody know that might have another traffic. It's always on top of mind. Pro-Life, good morning.
Yeah, what I'm concerned about is the poor, vulnerable women, kind of like inner cities that don't have a gun. And I think if the NRA was really going to do the right thing for those kind of people, they would even buy them guns and train them, and they could protect themselves. That would be, it'd be highly controversial, but that needs to happen. We don't have so many people here in Idaho like that, but boy, in big cities, there's women that and their little kids that need protection. So that's my.
Well, you know how they need protection? They need to be armed.
Yeah, exactly. And some of them are so poor they can't buy a gun, but I'd contribute to a organization that would, to a fund that would specifically arm those women and maybe the poor men, maybe some bum on the street that might get beat up and killed just because he sleeps on the street. Why can't he have a gun? That's what I'm saying.
Wait a minute, you'd like a homeless bum to have a gun?
Yeah, exactly.
Why?
If he was responsible.
Well, then he might rob you.
Yeah, right.
What do you mean? Yeah, right. You don't think that if you arm the people that are, mentally not all there or homeless, you don't give them a gun or a knife? Look, I remember being in Salt Lake. Somebody pulled a knife on me.
You're categorizing all of the homeless as being irresponsible for protecting themselves and protecting others.
I'm just saying, it's with all due respect, that sounds like one of the most ridiculous ideas I've ever heard of.
No, it isn't ridiculous. You're either responsible or you're not. And
well, with all due respect, and again, to the people that find themselves a victim of circumstance, we'll absolve them. But you can't find a home, but we're going to give you a weapon with ammunition. What about the people that choose to live on the streets? What about them? What about the guy at the corner that's got the sign up and he's making $3,000 a day? He's going to get a gun and then it's going to be on. Pro-Life, God bless you. Thank you, Independence Indoor Shooting. Thank you, Ray Amaya, and thank you, Jared. Kevin Miller, God bless everybody. Glenn Beck's next, KIDO Talk Radio.